Hey guys, Dr. Nani here. So today I'm really excited about this topic because we're going to talk about phonics. And more specifically, I'm going to review probably one of the most useful series of books that I got as far as helping my kids learn phonics and learning how to decode words. So for those of you who've been following, you guys probably know that both of my children started with sight words. And if you guys have been watching the videos and using the Meet the Sight Words videos, your kids probably starting to learn how to read by sound and just by sight. The challenge there is when they know the word, they can recognize it. But what happens when they can't recognize the word or it's not part of the sight words list that they may have? So that's where phonics comes in. And a lot of people sometimes talk about how phonics isn't well taught in class. It isn't, because it takes time, it takes constant repetition. And a lot of classroom settings, they don't have that kind of time with the kids to go through phonics. So I thought this series was very useful. I thought it was so useful that the reason I've got so many duplicates here is because my daughter has done each of these books twice. My son is on his way to doing all of them twice, and that's why I've got so many copies. And the book series is called Explode the Code. I found this on Amazon, and it comes as individual books or it comes as a series of 4. I thought the first 4 books were excellent, okay? What I loved about the book is just the simplistic nature of it. It wasn't overly complicated. It was very simple. You use a lot of repetition and was very systematic about how they introduced all of the letter sounds, okay? So with that, I'm going to get into the first book and just talk about the table of contents. So the table of content for the first one starts just with short A sounds that end with the final T sound, like at, cat, mat. And by doing that, they keep the same amount of repetition. So these are all the A words, and they allow that repetition to teach kids. What I liked about the book is as it gets further along, it gets more complex, but at the very beginning level, it's so easy that almost any child can understand. And I started this book with my daughter when she was 3. Okay, and so at the beginning, the book almost makes the assumption that kids aren't able to write. So a lot of the exercises are geared towards just circling the right sounds and the right pictures, okay? Which is great because if your child can't write, it allows them still to engage with this book. Then it slowly integrates phonics with writing, which is really key, okay? A lot of books will teach phonics, but will not teach the writing component. So to have a book where the kids can learn the sounds, but also practice the letter writing was key and really integral. So it initially starts off with just writing letter A with the A sound, and then it starts to integrate that. By the end of the book, you can see they're starting to get into short sentences. A lot of these sentences incorporate the sight words, so that mended really well with kids who started with sight reading. That way, all they need to fill in is the words that they don't know by phonics. And then by the end of the book, there's a lot more writing involved, a lot of pictures, and then they kind of systematically march through. So to me, the first book is critical. It was so good that after I had my daughter go from book 1 to book 3, I actually got book 1 again and had her do it a second time. And the best part about that is I can show her the difference in her writing. So at the beginning of the book, you know, she's barely able to form an A, but at the end of the book, not only could she spell based on phonics, but her writing and just the amount of circling that she'd done was significantly improved, okay? So that's one of the things I really loved about this book. I think the second book is also excellent. The second book gets into more digraphs, more blends. It's so good that I have 3 copies because my daughter's done it twice and my son has done it once. The third book is excellent. By the time you get into the fourth book is really where you have to persevere. So the fourth book introduces higher level phonics, how to sort out syllables. And for younger kids, I thought this was a little challenging. In retrospect, I wish I'd had my daughter do the 5th book, then come back to the 4th book. Because a lot of the stuff in the 4th book, as far as where to draw the syllable lines, you know, it can be a little challenging. But I mean, even as an adult who thought I could read, having gone through this book allows me to better explain where the syllable lines should be. Like, for example, if 2 letters are the same, 2 consonants are the same, the syllable line is always in between the 2 of them. And so by going through this systematically, it also helped my daughter learn how to spell. So once again, check out this book. I'd say is probably the single best resource I've found for phonics. I love that the focus was both on, this letter sounds in addition to writing. I loved how it progressed from simple writing at the very beginning to eventually more longer forms of writing. And then, at this point, my daughter's completed the whole series. So now when she does this book, I'll have her do it in cursive just to practice her cursive writing. My son is now on book 3. And as he does more of book 3, I find it's so much easier for him to read, different texts just based on the rules that this book teaches. So if you're interested in a resource for phonics that I think is worthwhile, feel free to check out the Explode the Code series. The link for this will be in the comment section. But any questions or comments, feel free to reach out. In the near future, I'm also going to go through some of the other resources I use for phonics. Hands down, I thought this was the best. Okay. Once again, thank you guys all for the support, the comments. Appreciate everything that you guys have sent me. I'm encouraged to keep doing more of this content. Take care.